Hello, Money Buddies, and welcome back to Financial Planning for Young Adults. I'm your host, Skylar Fleming, and today's episode is a little different. There's no research today and there's no case study, so let's get into today's big announcement. So my life is changing a lot this summer, and in some of the best ways possible. I just started a new job as a full-time financial planner. My wife is starting a new job in August. We're moving to a new state. We have a big road trip to Canada and Glacier National Park this summer, a trip to Yellowstone, and a handful of other camping trips, all sprinkled all over this summer. And that's led me to make a few adjustments for my own bandwidth's sake. So today, I want to share what this is going to look like and why I'm making this decision, and ultimately, what does it mean for this podcast? So the really big news that I want to share with all of you today is that I'm starting a new position as a full-time financial planner at Abundo Wealth, and I am extremely excited for this. This is the career path that I have been working towards, and I am so excited. The podcast has always been heading in this direction, and now I really get to take a chance at becoming a financial planner for my profession and my career. You know, I've been working hard towards the CFP certification, and this role is going to help me with that. And it's not because the podcast is failing or losing steam. It's actually quite the opposite. I'm seeing it grow in some really meaningful and awesome ways. But I started this podcast because I was serious about financial planning, and that's what's landed me in this position. So with me starting this new job, as I'm recording this podcast episode, and my wife starting a new job in August, and us moving to a new state, all of our trips this summer, we have a busy couple of months coming up. And that's a good thing. So with all that happening, continuing to produce this podcast every single week at the standard that I've set is not something that's realistic at this moment. It's not because I'm burnt out or not enjoying creating this content. I love putting together all the research, creating the case studies, and giving you each an action item so that you can build your own financial plan. That is something that I really enjoy doing. But right now, it's a season where I need to ramp up into my career and scale down certain hobbies for a time period. And life requires you to make these adjustments all the time. That's why I wanted to make this episode, to give all of you listening the encouragement to make the adjustments that you may need to make in seasons of your life. It's better to do so intentionally than just let things fall apart. It's okay to step back from things that you enjoy doing. It's okay to add new things to your life and make adjustments as you go. This is something that you're all going to face throughout your entire lives, and that's okay. So this podcast is going on a hiatus. It's not disappearing, and I really want the door to be open to come back to it when the time is right. And that's something that I'm really excited to consider in a couple months once I see how my life has changed and adjusted. But like I said, this show has been growing meaningfully and heading in the right direction the last couple months, and that's been so exciting. Thank you so much to every single one of you who listen to these podcast episodes week in and week out. I know this show didn't start too long ago, but it's really growing, and that's so much fun to see. And this community and the research and learning that I'm doing and getting to put together these episodes is the reason why coming back to the podcast is something that I want to do. So how can we still stay connected? Well, you can stay connected in two ways. One, send me an email with any financial planning questions that you might have come up while the show is on hiatus. It's going to be a great way to help shape future episodes if and when the podcast returns. Second, send me a LinkedIn connection request so that we can stay connected as both of our careers grow and you might have financial questions come up. Then you'll know exactly where to reach me. And I do want you to know I'm not disappearing. I am just taking a step back from the podcast mic for a little while. So one last thing for y'all to check out. Head over to my website, FPYA.com, and check out the free guide. It's a great resource to help you keep working through your financial plan while this podcast goes dormant for a season. It's built around the same framework that I've built this show on, so it's a great place for you to keep your financial plan going. And yes, it is time for the podcast to go on a break, and I look forward to staying connected with those of you listening and potentially returning to the podcast in the future. But I am so excited for this next chapter in my life and in my family's life, with us moving, both starting new jobs, and what this means for our careers and my financial planning journey. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast over the last several months since it started. And please, if you've enjoyed this podcast or it's helped you in any way, let's stay connected. and thank you for listening to this week's episode of Financial Planning for Young Adults. I'm your host, Skylar Fleming. Have a great summer.